There is a question that I forgot to share with you regarding the leveling system. When we were looking at what certifications would fall under each level, intermediate, advanced, and master, we looked at the other states and following Texas, Illinois, Michigan on how they categorized those levels. And so we were just following suit. Certainly open for discussion. The idea of a separate legal level that either requires SCL or BEI master only to work in those settings, or BEI's legal exam, that we could certainly add another category to that. So making it basically super master, fourth level. Because I think that is the concern right now, the way that the master is worded, with Nick master being in there. We start to open up a can of worms with previous certifications. Where does SCS go? Where does CICT go? Where does that go? And all these certifications are sunset anyway. So, you know, the idea that there's going to be a million people taking advantage of that, I don't know. I don't know if that's the concern. The concern is people without those certifications trying to work in certain settings without the qualifications. Anyway, so I'm just presenting that. That was another concern that was raised. And I just want you to understand, we didn't develop what certifications go under. We were pulling from other states that had already vetted all that stuff. But again, that's open for discussion, and we certainly can redraft that. Another question that came to me was about the legislative task force and what does that require. I can't answer that. I'm going to ask Representative Brostoff to send me a draft of, what to expect if you were to participate in that. I can't tell if it's going to be once a month. I can't tell you, is it going to be on Saturday afternoons? I also think once a legislative task force is appointed, I think it will be that group that determines how often they want to meet. You know what I mean? And what can people reasonably do? What I would say is, if you don't have the time, and if you're a really busy person and you're only available every other Thursday at 3 o'clock, you know, every 2 months, that's not going to be helpful to this. You know, you do have to have some availability and make this a priority if you want to see this move forward. I don't know if there's anything else in that. Okay. So if you, I don't know if you're really all going to rush down or what. One at a time. And then maybe we'll just go row by row, if that seems okay. And I'll just call tables like a wedding. We'll do it that way. Please bring your index card down and give it to the interpreter so that they can review your question and make sure they got your name right. And then we have people taking minutes, and we're just going to take notes about what your feedback and comments are. Sound good? All right. Do we want to start with this row? Any comments? Okay. This row, no. Okay. That row, no. Okay, this might be a really fast meeting. That row with Margaret and Terry, Mike, Jody, any comments? This is too easy. All right. Jim, come on down. Jim, do you want a question or?
Right now, I probably would not do that because that's a valid policy.
Okay.
So,
Do you want me to go ahead and read the question? Okay.
please. And then there's another person's question.
Thank you. I'll do that. Go ahead, proceed. Oh, I got this. Okay. All right, the first card says, I want to say The Sign Language Interpreter Task Force did an awesome job, thank you. Are we looking at the bill to be introduced before January or introduced in January to be voted upon? We're going to introduce, our goal ideally would be to introduce the legislation by January. Okay. Yes, and so how soon would that be enacted? This is something that I will check in with Representative Rostoff, because again, I have my steps here on law. So I'll get back to you on that, because I don't want to say anything that's incorrect. Comment here is, I do not feel a bachelor's should be required for the intermediate interpreters at this time. Especially if it's not required for deaf interpreters. That's fair. I am concerned about the language skills of deaf interpreters are not addressed anywhere. Okay, I get the intent of the question.
Just 1 second.
Yep. Okay, so again, just to restate this question, the point is, someone may have a hearing loss, but they may not have what we call competency in American Sign Language, right? So that assumption that hearing loss equates to the ability to be a deaf interpreter is not always the case. And so the question is, how is this license going to address that? And I do believe, and again, Ashley and Mike, I do believe with the portfolio and with the endorsements, you are going to have professionals, both from the deaf community and the interpreting community, signing off saying, yes, I endorse this person. This person has demonstrated the competency to be a deaf interpreter. So it's not just, you can certainly pursue that path, but there are going to be some expectations along the way, and I do believe that this leveling system will require that individual to show those skills, to demonstrate those skills. And I did see a comment from the audience saying that we are expecting endorsements for deaf interpreters, should those endorsements exist for hearing interpreters. I would argue that for RID's NIC exam and for the BI exam, they have deaf raters and hearing raters. So that is the check. I mean, so it's not just hearing interpreters rating hearing interpreters. There is deaf community raters that are assessing. Mike, you wanted to add? Mike? Yes, you can come on.
Do I have to say my name? Okay. Hi, I'm Mike Mafucci, Michael Mafucci. I am a CDI In terms of measuring the skill of a deaf interpreter, I challenge you. How do you measure the skills of a hearing interpreter? Oftentimes we're not impressed, so I would really put the onus back on the deaf community. That is how it works naturally. Do you need more explanation than that? Can I comment on something else? Great. Talking about licensure for hearing interpreters, they have 6 years to get their certification. I have a problem with that. I do. You guys have a choice. You can look at this as a positive or a negative, and that's really in your hands. I see this as a positive. 6 years is way too much. I think it should be 3. There's no push if it's 6. If you're, it's 2016 now, in 6 years' time, if you're still working without certification, that's 2022. Think of how things will be then. 6 years? Really? That's crazy. Do you guys know where you're going to be in 2022? No, nobody does. So, it needs to be 3 years. We need a time limit. You should know that you are in it, and you should have the drive to be in it and get the results that you need to stick around. Then people will be certified faster, and I'm hoping that most of you will still be here. In 6 years' time, in terms of graduation and then all of the struggles and hardships you have to go through to get what you need to be certified, there are too many obstacles in your way. This method is broken. It hasn't worked, it's not working. We need a change for the next generation of interpreters, for them to be better, for the community to get the benefits from it.
I would like to respond to that, Mike. And this is just coming from my experience and just my perspective. Again, I do recognize my hearing privilege, and I know there are certain things that I may or may not understand, but I see interpreters working really hard. And I think the bar has been raised very high for interpreters, right? And I know it's difficult. And I want us to be careful about how we work together in partnership as both the deaf community and the interpreting community, working towards that common goal of qualifications and just having skilled interpreters. I really do believe people are trying. I see it in the classroom. I see it with the people that I mentor. I do. And nobody comes in like, yeah, I don't like deaf people. You know, nobody comes in like that. They come in excited. They come in with passion, they come in with drive, and I want us, as we move forward, to keep that passion going, to be supportive. At the same time, you absolutely hold us to high expectations. I am the same way. But my fear is that we're pushing people out of the field, and that's what I don't want to see happen. I really don't want to see that happen. I want, and I don't know what the answer to that is. I just don't. But that is my fear. And so one of my priorities is just continuing to get input from the deaf community, continue to get those insights, work in partnership so that interpreters can meet those demands. But the demands are high. What interpreters could do 20 years ago and what we expect interpreters to do today is dramatically different. Dramatically different. It's much higher stakes. That takes time, and that takes 6 years, probably isn't enough time. I don't know if that's enough time to train an interpreter to do all the things that we want them to do. That is lifelong. So I just want to respond to that. I know that may not be what people want to hear, but I'm just sharing a response to that, just from my experiences. The last comment is on this card. Okay. On a much happier note, I feel that Slip did a good job. Thank you. All right, Ashley has a comment. Come on down.
I wanted to reply to Jim's comment about measuring language skills of deaf individuals interested in getting licensed. Again, we're still flushing this out, but the ASLPI might be a viable option. We would ask people to take that and get a minimum score of 3 or 4. We haven't decided that yet, but that might be a good tool for us to use. Oh, I saw someone say 4, so 4 or above. That could be something we could put into the license. So, but again, that's still up for discussion.
All right, thank you. Great questions. Next row, Krista. Okay. Yep. I'll be reading all the questions this evening. All right. Okay. Is the Deaf Interpreting Committee open to,
Do you want me to clarify?
yeah, like,
So the green column, silver column.
Yep, I got that. What,
Like if they accept the job, are they open to accepting it if they have a mentor or company? No.
okay, so can a deaf interpreter that is a green level do some silver level jobs as long as they are accompanied by a mentor?
Right.
That's why I'm an interpreter, people. Okay. Yeah.
So just to clarify again, so let's say a deaf interpreter is working towards silver or master level licensure. They currently hold the intermediate licensure or the green licensure. Can they accept silver level work if they're under the supervision of a mentor? That's the question. Do you have the answer? Ashley is responding, no, that would be something I would have to take back to my committee. I will make a notation of that for us to discuss further.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, Margaret.
I think parallel to that, you can ask the same question for hearing people. If you have an intermediate level interpreter, can they take along with a advanced level interpreter and do those jobs in conjunction with? Because I think at all levels, it's very important to continue to grow our skills, and one way to do that is by doing jobs with a more experienced professional.
I agree. So that's being noted in the minutes, and I think we can take those recommendations and look at that. Makes real good sense. It does. That seems plausible. Okay, Katie? Oh.
Hi everyone, I'm Katie. We're talking about being able to measure interpreter skills. I would like to recommend that there be some community hours that count as CEUs. I don't I don't want people to see it as a 9-to-5 job and that's it. Why not consider adding community hours? Like Mike was saying, the only way to really get better at this is to be in the community, be present. Can we make that as part of the law? That would be my suggestion. I know that a lot of folks are wary of that, but we really want to see you guys out there. We see the same faces time and time again, and we applaud them, and they end up with some fantastic skills, but we want to see you all improve as well. And the only way to do that is to be out in the community with us. So that's my recommendation.
All right, so Katie, I love that idea. So part of our certification requires that we have professional development hours, or CEUs, continuing education units, and it tends to be workshops, it tends to be classes. And just to further elaborate on her point is, we get so focused on that after we complete our education that we lose sight of that community involvement. I certainly would like to entertain that idea. I think it's a lovely idea. More potlucks coming at Water Tower View, Katie. Here we come.
Katie said, no, it doesn't have to just be Water Tower View, folks. You can go elsewhere as well.
Okay, anybody else in that row? Janet, CJ, sorry. Okay. All right, on this side, any, no? All right, Henry? Do you want to give him the microphone? It's very powerful.
So my comment is in regards to the RID requirement or the RID membership requirement for licensure in the state. And one of the counterpoints that was brought up is that we need RID to keep our CEU requirement and track our education units. RID uses an independent organization to track CEUs. ASSET, it's the Accreditation Council for Continuing Education and Training. The state is able to use the ASSET services and track their own CEUs through ASSET without depending on RID and so on and so forth. To address Katie's comment, if she wanted to make something like Water Tower View service hours, continuing education units, you are now currently able to apply through ASSET and get those approved and signed off on, so interpreters can do that now without, putting it into the law. Sir?
Yeah. I want response. Christina, are you willing to? Hello? Okay. Are you willing, there was another issue that was raised at our Whispered board meeting on Sunday. If we don't require RID membership, would that adversely affect Whispered membership? We raised that point. And what would that mean for the state? If anybody on the board would like to add, to clarify, don't want to.
How it would impact is that we could have a reduced amount of voting members.
Here. Right, so in order to be a voting member of Whispered, you have to be an RID member, as the way it stands now. Yep, come on up, yep, I was trying to tell you to stay.
Oh, yes. Christina brings up a good point, and I would say that that isn't something that I feel should be legislated. I don't think that should be in the law. If one chooses not to be an RID member and they have an issue being a non-voting voice grid member, I think that's more of a personal problem rather than a statewide issue. If you would want to become a voting member, then it is your responsibility to become an RID member.
Yep. Thank you. So what I think would be helpful for us, as we move forward, maybe another round of cards, just getting a sense or a pulse from this group about should RID membership be required? What are your thoughts? I mean, we've given different perspectives and understanding what the ramifications of that might be. I don't have an opinion either way at this point. I see both sides of it. Okay, so can I ask her to? No. Okay. Sorry. So just ponder that for a little while. All right. Ashley, Sarah, anything that you would like to contribute, ask, give feedback on? Okay. Erin? Okay. Am I missing someone? Yes, Katie, I'm sorry. Yeah. Come on down. Oh, yeah, absolutely. He asked me, is it okay to ask a question? That was a question. I said yes, you can ask a second question.
Okay, so another thing that I've noticed with Wisconsin Registered Interpreters for the Deaf or the RID conference, a lot of individuals use English. And think about ASL classrooms where we don't have voicing, but they go to these conferences, they earn CEUs, they get this number, and they leave. But where's the benefit in attending these things if you're not going to maybe utilize some of the skills required of the job? So that's the discussion, I felt like, it's not fair when people go to a WISRID conference and don't have an interactive portion of that. You sit there and you listen to somebody lecture, but you're not really interacting and using skills. So we're trying to, say, have these conferences have no voicing policies or something that will get people their hands up and that they're using skills. It would be nice if they had like everybody use sign all the time, even outside of the conference workshops. I go to the bar after all the workshops are done and people are talking. Where is the signing atmosphere that we should try and create in these types of organizations? And it's something I just don't personally understand. So I want you to really think about how do you improve skills, and some people are worried about that. So where's the problem? Maybe it starts with you and being willing to turn off your voice. That makes sense? Some people agree, my deaf people.